Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all the audience, to our distinguished speaker, Miss Lydia, Mr. Eddie. Before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Fazri Zuhelmi. I've been working with Malaysia Productivity Corporation Wilayah Sabah as an assistant manager. Okay. Before I start, let me throw one question to you. Have you ever heard the most of the family businesses or family enterprises hard to expand their market? Are you facing the problem? Because this problem, which you are trapped in the red ocean, which with the low economic of scale. If you are facing this problem, this is the right program for you lah. Because the objective of this program is to enlighten us on how the family enterprise or the family businesses to shift or to embark to digital transformation. Okay, I have one interesting statistic that I would like to share with all of you. If I can look into the PricewaterhouseCoopers Family Business Survey 2021, the Malaysian chapter, the statistic show us that the statistic of the survey, the 61% of Malaysian family businesses expect to grow in 2021 and 92% expect to grow in 2022. That is statistic number one. Number two, only 24% of Malaysian family businesses believe they have strong digital capabilities. This is something to ponder lah, because 24% is very low. Okay, at least Malaysia need to exceed 50% of the digital capabilities lah, in order to move forward in digital 4.0 era. The third statistic that I want to share with all of you is 59% of Malaysian family businesses have some form of ownership governance policy in place, and only 1/3 Malaysian family businesses have developed and communicated sustainability strategies. So if you can see, if you can think of this statistic of the survey, it shows us that most of the family enterprises still trapped in the low market. Okay, so in order to help all of you, to the family business owner, this is the right program for you, which Miss Lydia and Mr. Eddie will enlighten us and to share information how to shift to digital transformation. Okay. Let me share with you before we start. Let me share with you the agenda for our program today. Okay, we will start the first presentation of the introduction of S1 AsiaPac by Ms. Lydia Bay, the president of S1 AsiaPac, chair and CEO coach. And later on, the second session, we have the presentation from Mr. Eddie Loh, the project director of S1 AsiaPac Sdn Bhd, with the topic of family enterprise and the accelerated shift to digital transformation. And then we will proceed with the Q&A session, and we will end our program at 11:30 a.m. Okay. Before we start with the first session, let me walk through, or let me brief you with our first speaker, Ms. Lydia Bay, the president of S1 AsiaPac, chair and CEO coach. The background of Ms. Lydia Bay: she is the president of S1 AsiaPac, is a passionate hands-on entrepreneur, having founded and built several successful IT businesses across the region. She has lived and worked across Australia, Papua New Guinea, West and East Malaysia, and Vietnam, and enjoy bridging across cultures and geographies to create opportunities and shared successes. Over the last 30 years, she has played a pivotal role in assisting business owners to achieve sustainable growth, delivering more than 100 successful transformative IT projects in Malaysia, Brunei, and Vietnam. Her diverse experiences span across education, banking, IT, agriculture, property and real estate, construction, manufacturing, distribution, and hospitality sectors. She has worked with a number of leading listed entities, including a top ASEAN bank and Mesin Niaga, a Malaysian tech icon, before embarking on an entrepreneurship journey. Ms. Lirabe specializes in developing and nurturing long-term businesses, relationship across multi-geographies and ecosystem, expertise in creating unique selling propositions that work in line with client strategies, strengths, and opportunities, optimize for government initiative and Industry 4.0 to boost productivity and growth. This is some background of Ms. Lirabe. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Lydia B to start with the first presentation. Over to you, Ms. Lydia.
𝐂𝐍𝒂𝑷𝒂𝒄, thank you for your kind introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. SME is still the backbone of the economy. There are two typical interesting groups of entrepreneurs: pioneer generation and new generation. The difference is that the new generation would usually leverage technology, and the pioneer generation tend to use more of manual work. At the same time, the pioneer generation are starting to involve their next generation, and they are at the crossroads. Survey shows that family enterprises have two top concerns. A is the increasing use of technology, and two is improving digital capability. But going digital or using technology is not just an exercise or plug and play. It requires not only strategy and change management, but also the ability to harmonize and have a balance of people, and that includes partners and customer, process and technology. Not having the right balance is like having a three-legged chair with different length for each leg. We can learn from success story and case study how to bring businesses on this business transformation journey. My colleague, Mr. Eddie, will share more and some of these later. We believe that having a partner that brings to you not only technology and solution, but also access to global and local expertise is very important. And that is why S1 is here today to organize this seminar and to enable you to access and work with leading technology and solutions through Huawei, Sage X3, and MPC. With the pandemic, indirectly, technology is helping to ease the pain. Example, teleworking or enabling food or online shopping, delivery, so that lockdown do not stop everything. Today, even hawkers have gone online. So all this remind us to embrace tech and digitalization. It is no longer a nice to have, but a must have for digitalization in order to continue to survive, to thrive in business. Family enterprise can build upon their past successes by extending their personal secret recipe for products or value by using technology to make their business more efficient or even discover new possibility, such as creating new businesses or new distribution channel. It is not advisable to use raw technology from scratch. Instead, use matured foundation like Sage X3 ERP so that you can benefit from all the best practices. And to ensure that we can personalize the right solution, services, and strategy, it is necessary that we work together to have an assessment which we would be happy to discuss more with you offline. Last but not least, we hope you will have a fruitful session this morning, and we look forward to continuing our discussion with you in the near future. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Badri.
Thank you, Ms. Vidya, for the introduction of S1 AsiaPac. So we'll move on with the second presentation by Mr. Eddie Low. Before I start, let me brief the background or bio of Mr. Eddie Low. Mr. Eddie is a project director of S1 AsiaPac Sdn Bhd. He has more than 30 years of working experience in software solution, business performance improvement, and supply chain management, serving mainly education establishment, bulk port, FMCG, and general manufacturing industries. His key of expertise including the development of IT strategic blueprint, enterprises risk management, and business process improvement on behalf of his clients. He was formerly attached to two of Big Four and head of management consulting and risk consulting team. Eddie is also experienced in areas of providing advisory services on mobility solutions such as barcoding and RFID, with improvement in operational processes, with emphasis in core activities such as enterprise resource planning, Salesforce automation, warehouse management, and asset tracking and traceability. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Eddie Low to start with the second presentation. Over to you, Mr. Eddie.
Thank you, 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝑷𝒂𝒄. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And also thank you very much to Ms. Lydia Bay in giving us the introduction. I'd like to start off with a bit of a slides that I have. If you may, I will be sharing my screen in terms of a few slides for you to ponder through some of the areas that you may want to look with regards to family businesses. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, right. So the topic for today is basically on family businesses and the movements of how family businesses in actually adopting digitalization. So, sorry. What are the things that we need to look into is basically what family business is all about. What are the kind of dynamics? What's so special between family businesses and the other corporates, standard corporates? And also, what is the impact like in the GDP? The other one I'd like to show you are some of the survey results of the survey with regards to some like what Encik Fazri has mentioned, where Malaysia stands in terms of digital adoption by the SME and all family businesses. And then we'll move on to a few more of the cases down here. And one of the most important things that I like to share with you are all the case studies. These case studies comes across all family businesses, and it also cuts across different industries. So from these case studies, I like to come up with a thematic analysis about what is it all about. What is it that it is in their mind when it comes to adopting technology? And from there, you'll be able to actually conclude about what are the digital next steps that they have actually done, and what are the things that you probably may want to adopt, or areas that you may want to upgrade or improve. So I will end this webinar with some key takeaways from there, and then I'll be open for questions and answers. Okay, so if you take a look, family-owned businesses makes up about 80 to 90% of companies globally. And these 80 to 90% of companies worldwide, they are extremely important drivers of any national or any country's GDP and job growth. Because if you take a look at what is happening now in Malaysia, you find that once the market has opened, you find that there are a lot of people who's actually moving up to get jobs. And these jobs are usually created by the SMEs. And if you know, family businesses, it always starts from the ground up. There will never be someone who's going to pass it to you, especially when it comes to first generation. It is the owner, the entrepreneur's hard work and efforts that these are the reasons why they have actually built up to some of the companies to where they are today. So what is in the mind of any entrepreneurs? The mind down here is, the mindset is basically to say that I want to make sure that my business is sustainable, and I would like to pass it to my next generation before I retire. That is always in the mindset of a lot of entrepreneurs. Coincidentally, I bumped into my cousin brother at the airport yesterday. He is actually currently running his own business. And the thing that he told me was something which I've just explained just now. He says that I'm building up this business. I built this business for more than 30 years. But unfortunately, my children are not interested in taking over. So what do you do with that? All right, succession planning is one of the key areas when you want to consider giving your business up to your children to run it. However, of course, there are a lot of cases where your next generation may not be so keen, but that is another story for another time. Now, one of the things down here when it comes to family business, 3 core areas: money, power, and family love. And these are the areas, if you leave it as it is, especially in all family enterprises, any family enterprises or any family business, no matter how many years that you have actually put in your sweat into it, it will falter. And this is not a very good news when it comes to this area. As compared to any corporates, corporates are totally different. Corporates do not look into family love, right? And they look into money, and they look into sustainability and all the other areas where it is totally different from the normal family businesses. So, you know, in all Malaysia, that usually what we talk about, and this is normally spoken about in especially during dinner, during free time, where the first generation will start with a business, the second generation will actually run it, third generation will just waste it. How true it is, it all depends on the succession planning. And also one of the key areas when it comes to family business, the word trust. The word trust down here is something which is so intangible, especially amongst family members, where it is very, very difficult to separate between family-related issues and company-related issues. So ponder that part and think about what are the experiences that you have actually gone through, or perhaps maybe you have seen, that will actually say that, yeah, it is true. Money, power may destroy family love. Family love may not bring so much money, all right? Power may destroy both money and family love. But however, if you put all these 3 together, I'm very, very certain that that particular family enterprise will be growing extensionally, and perhaps maybe in one of the better companies around the world. So this is a survey that's done by Professor Dr. Peter May. He is the founder of Intel's Family Business Academy, related to one of the big four. The foundation out of the 100 family business that was actually surveyed, right, from the founding generation, the second generation only is able to actually take over 60 of these 100. When it comes to the third generation, there was only 32 that stays in the business. And by the time it comes to the fourth generation, only 16 is still there. So the key question to a lot of entrepreneurs is that, do I want to leave a legacy for my family? Do you want to leave a legacy in a good way? Or do you want to leave it as it is and just let someone else take over the entire organization? So there are a lot of areas when it comes to family businesses. So other than that, other than the corporate areas, one of the things that I like to delve about is basically in the adoption of technology. Now, take a look at this particular survey down here. Pre-COVID-19 sales performance for 2020. Globally and locally comparison down here. Globally, there's a growth of 55% as compared to Malaysia, there's about 47%. However, as we move on, the sales reduction, globally, there's a reduction from down to 19%, while in Malaysia, it's about 29%. So if you take a look at it, it's something that has actually happened last year. And from there, I'd like to take you to the next survey, where it talks about growth ambitions between this year, 2021, and next year, 2022. So growth ambitions for 2021 globally is divided into aggressive growth, steady growth, consolidation, and even a little bit of contraction. Now, in 2021, this year, from the survey, we find that globally, companies, family businesses have grown aggressively at only about 13%. While in Malaysia, it was about 18%. Steady growth in the global market is about 51% compared to Malaysia, 43%. And when it comes to consolidation of businesses, globally, there was about 27% as compared to Malaysia. There was about 37%, and the contraction is about 7% across globally, and Malaysia 2%. Take this and move towards 2022, whereby now that the market has opened, all right, let's see how Malaysian family businesses have actually gone through. From this particular survey, Malaysian has a 20% growth, aggressive growth when it comes to compared to globally, which is about 16%. Steady growth is about 70% compared to global 68%. Consolidation and contraction is 8-3 versus 7-2. So if you take a look at this particular survey down here, you find that Malaysians are a pretty gung-ho group of family business, because what they want to do is to ensure that the businesses is sustainable, and at the same time, in the back of the mind, they tell themselves that, look, we have a lot of our workers and of our staff who has been with us throughout the years. We have to ensure that there are work for everybody, and everybody brings back their income to make sure that they can actually put food on the table. So risk management is one of the areas that the family businesses will also consider. However, if you take a look from the high level, you find that Malaysian SMEs or family businesses, they are a pretty hardy lot, I would say. And I have to take my hats off to these companies. Next, all right. Common characteristics for any successful family business is that family comes first. Second thing, cohesion amongst family members is key, all right, to ensure that there is continuity. Third thing, characteristics of the family ownership for the next generation right? They are looking into the characteristics of family ownership, investments, future investments, as well as look internally in their governance structure. So there are so many challenges when it comes to all this. But if you find that governance structure is one of the least areas that when family business look at, they say the governance structure is something that we do amongst family members. However, I think from the second generation or the next generation, they find the governance structure is one of the more important ones, especially when it is being I would say companies are being governed by regulatory organizations from the government, as well as all the other agencies. So there is a balance between diverse interests for the organization, as well as expectation from family members. Now, the word down here, guardians, including guardians that's been working in the family business with the first generation and those who are not. Guardians are basically the lieutenants of the company who has been there since day one. They have been helping the entrepreneur to build up the company. And when the entrepreneur has passed it to the second generation, the lieutenants are still there to ensure that business continuity is there. It grows stronger with growth, and also to ensure that the children who have taken over from the entrepreneur executes and manages the organization in a more professional manner, right? So what they need to do when it comes to this, first of all, they need to place a well-defined framework. And this framework is very it's easy to break down into these three core areas. Number one, professional management. Number two, responsible business ownership. Third thing, healthy family dynamics. So professional management may not necessarily be just the family alone. It will actually include the lieutenants as well as all the other professionals from the outside of the organization. Responsibility in the business ownership, that is absolute truth, because without any ownership, the business will probably float like a ship without a captain in the sea. And of course, at the end of the day, when you go back, healthy family dynamics is key when it comes to mature discussion when it in business matters. Right. This is a survey that's done by family business survey done by the Malaysian chapter. If you take a look at the top 5 areas, while growth has been among family members, they are more ambitious from 2022 compared to 2021. This chart shows a top 5 key. Okay. Surprisingly, 61% and 59% is related to digital capabilities and new technologies, right? Whereas equally the same in terms of percentage are expanding into new markets, protecting the core businesses, and at 49% is to introduce new products or services into the markets. Now in 2021, a lot of people has been actually embracing new technologies. As what Ms. Lydia Bay has mentioned, even a hawker has actually gone on the train on the bandwagon in terms of adopting new technologies. Technologies down here may not necessary for you to actually start looking around and start investing. You can actually partner outsiders in adopting or sharing their technologies, which is already matured and available in the market, such as Shopee, Lazada, food delivery companies such as Foodpanda, or even Grab for that matter. So what you're doing is actually to tap on the technologies that are currently available. So what does it actually mean for you? What it does to you is that you will still continue to focus with your core business, but at the same time, adopting technology, whether internally or externally, you are able to actually do that. So in a lot of SMEs, companies, especially children have just taken over from their father or their family members, the first thing in mind is, where do I start when it comes to using technology? So I hope that this particular session further down, I'd like to share with you some of the case studies as to how they actually adopt it. Next thing, and this is something which I like to share with you all, misconception that when you actually adopt digital transformation, digital technology, You are basically digitizing the way of how you do your business into digital format. That is not the way that is basically the way that a lot of people think about. But however, we need to move further than that. When it comes to the exposure of technology, we need to move further than that, whereby we use technology as an area whereby you can actually go into new levels of engaging with your customers, as well as the suppliers, as well as anyone outside there. Hence, when you use technology, it's not about doing your financials in the way that you're doing it from a book right up to a computer. It's not that. It is more than that. So if I were to look at this, digital transformation is about moving traditional organization, all right, that they will actually take into, they will embark onto digital projects and then integrate it strategically, right, with the business, outside of the business, outside of the family enterprises, to all their business partners. So this particular survey says, the question is, does your family business have a digital strategy? You can't just sit back, have a drink and then think about strategy. It's not that. So it's a very simple question. Do you have a digital strategy? 26% says yes. 35 says yes, but recently. Now, even though this survey was done by Deloitte, a total of 575 businesses were interviewed. And from this 26% and 35%, I will take the answer is yes and yes, but recently with a pinch of salt. Because strategy is not something that you put in a modem here, a router there, all right, some cables here and there, put in the software. That is not a strategy. That's buying of hardware and software, and hopefully it will work. That's not the case. So a strategy is something which is above that. 18% says that no, but we are working on it. And 20% says, nope, we do not have it. And the last bit of it, it says that I have no idea what is the digital strategy. So the questions were basically asked across various different second generation and first generation. And from the survey, even though it's not stated down here, you find that family businesses' digital strategies vary in age. So if you ask a more senior person in terms of age, the idea of digital strategies is totally different from someone who have actually just joined the family business for the past 5 years to 10 years. The way they look at technology is totally different. The way they adopt technology is different, all right? Next question down here. In what ways and to what extent does your family business apply digital technology? So in what ways? To a large extent, a lot of them says that they want to improve their process. Some of them says that I want to reduce costs. Third one says that I need to create new sources of revenue, then to drive new business models. And the last one is to engage with talent. Now, take a look at this. What is wrong with this particular survey? Again, this question was asked across the 575 family businesses. There is a conception down here is that digital technology is used to improve their process. That is not what we look at. So a lot of SMEs, I believe that there is a need for us to actually expand our idea and how we can actually use technology to improve other than just processes, but in terms of reaching out to all the other potential customers and clients that you may have. And this innovation down here is something that we need to share with you all to make aware as to what will be the steps for you to do it. So the conclusion for this down here is that digital technology is still viewed as an operational improvement tool. Okay. Next one. Take a look. Awareness of digital technology drops off among family members. So with the same group of 575 family businesses, usually the second generation key owners down here will say that the awareness is about 45% of them say they're extremely aware, 52% says they're somewhat aware, 3 not aware, 1% each says that I don't know what is it all about, and it's not applicable. So the thing down here is that when it comes to the second generation, one of the things that they probably need to actually revisit is that they need to actually spread digital awareness to the rest of the family members, right? To make them know what digitalization is all about and what can actually do for the business. How can actually generate more revenue and so on and so forth. So the good thing down here is that the second generation family members, they are extremely aware about it. And what's the best thing down here is that at least from the mindset, right, they are aware. But the question is at the back of the mind is, what can they actually do? What is it that this particular digital technology is all about, and what can we do? It's not about just your handphone or your tablets and so on, but it's just more than that. So moving forward, what family businesses needs to do? Number one, spread digital awareness to the rest of the family members. Okay. Second, support cultural changes to enable successful digital transformation. So moving from semi-manual to digital technology, right, requires a lot of cultural changes, right? Likewise, the same thing back in the days when the entrepreneurs, say about 100 years ago, they started off with a business using the abacus as a calculator. And from the abacus, they move on to a paper calculator. From the paper calculator, they move on to the electronic calculator, and then move on to a point of sale. From point of sale, they move on to enterprise resource planning software. So you see the progressive growth in terms of technology adoption without them being aware of it. So if you ask someone who is so used to abacus and compared to someone who is actually using a point of sale system, you find that they have different ideas when it comes to using tools to help them in their businesses. So likewise, the same thing down here, we have a cultural clash between the first generation and the second generation, or even the first generation with the third generation. So therefore, spreading digital awareness is very, very important to ensure that the adoption of technology does not take family members by surprise. Right? Second thing, there is a need to see the benefits across broader ecosystems, and you use technology to exploit opportunities that comes out from this, and use the digital assets used or owned by others. Like what I said, you do not need to actually invest so much in technology, but you can actually adopt or rather exploit opportunities using digital assets owned by others, such as GrabFood, such as Foodpanda, and so on. Right? You do not need to build up your own application for this. Right? Now, with this, the way of how you actually do your businesses down here will have to require entrepreneurs or the second generation to rethink about how you actually form relationships with your customers as well as with your suppliers. And that is very, very important because market forces dictates how you actually use technology in your business. Market forces tells you that if you are slow behind in adopting technology, it shows that your business, you are not interested in actually building up businesses with others. So the third thing down here is that when you actually take the first baby step into adopting technology in a slightly bigger way, right, is number one, when you have a new system, you have to review your processes. You also need to review your policies on how digital technology impacts your current policies and procedures or even your SOPs. I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, when thumb drive became popular, the question I would like to ask you all, and you can actually ponder, you don't have to answer it now. Thumb drive. Is thumb drive used as a mode of transportation of files and data from one laptop to another laptop? Or is thumb drive used as a place where you can store your files permanently? So these are two totally different things. One is to use as a mode of transportation. The other one is to use as a storage, right? So this was discussed. In length when I was with one of the big four, where I was also a committee member in the internal use of internal committee member for the IT systems. So another thing down here is that when you do that, you also need to review organizations' policies when it comes to using technology. Example, do you allow your staff to use or access to YouTube or Facebook, right? So it actually differs from one company to another. And the reason why some of the companies do not allow people to actually have access to YouTube or even Facebook is because of problems with the bandwidth. The second company doing the same kind of business may allow people to actually have access to these social media tools. The reason is because they believe that using this is part and parcel of their digital marketing strategy. So you see, so it all depends from one business to another business as to how you actually adopt technology. There's no right and wrong for this. And the best thing down here is that we are actually there to actually talk about this together with you. And another thing down here is that new technologies comes every day, right? So today, when you take a look at, let's say, for instance, from the human capital point of view, when you want to interview a potential candidate, normally what you do is that you will look into the application letter, you will look at the application form, you will also look at the photo to see whether that particular person looks decent, looks suspicious, and so on and so forth. And the extra things that normally human capital executive look at is basically to go into your social media sites. Now, a question to you all again. What are the photos that you put in Facebook as compared to the photos that you put in Instagram? As to what are the comments you even put on Twitter, for that matter? All these areas down here will give will actually give an impression of the particular person who is going to interview that candidate. So you see down here, technology plays such a wide part, not just in terms of human capital and not just in terms of businesses, but it also allows people to actually interact with you in terms of how they perceive you as a person and how they will approach you come the time where they actually meet you face to face. Right. I'm going to go on to the case studies. This is a case study based on a local plantation conglomerate. All these are family businesses. This particular plantation conglomerate is into its third generation. They have started this business back in 1906, if I'm not mistaken. What they have actually done is that they have plantations across Malaysia, Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak, Kalimantan, and even in Africa. So it's pretty huge. And they have actually grown across not just in plantation, they also have manufacturing, oil palm manufacturing for one of them. And the other one will be the property development. So they are three totally different businesses altogether. And in this tree down here, their current IT system at that particular time was all built in-house. it was all built internally by a group of IT people whom they have been with the company for a long time. And what happened is that when the third generation took over, they felt that the system has reached its limit. And the best thing is that even the hardware that they are using is no longer supported by the supplier, right? And the reason why they cannot move is because the people, the internal IT people who has been supporting it, is only experienced in the kind of softwares that they have been developing all these years. They have not been exposed outside to new technology. The reason why is because the head of the technology department in this particular company down here says that, well, our system is able to actually manage and support the current businesses. We do not need outside people to help us. So this is exactly the same words that came across to the third generation family members, and they felt that they have to do something. So a discussion was actually done between the second generation and the third generation. Mind you, the second generation, they are already in their 70s, all right? And the third generation, they are basically in their 30s and 40s. So what they have actually done is that they say that, why don't we engage an external consultant who has a biased view about what's going on down there, the current state. And from there, we want to see how we can actually use technology to adopt. The third generation is all for it. So what happened is that after a discussion with the family members down here, they have actually decided that, look, we need a 6 to 8 year IT strategy blueprint. So what happens is that the consultants went along and actually they went through the interviews, they look around, they went to the estates, they spoke to people who was basically in the lowest level, right up to the citizens of the plantations, as well as to the head of departments. So blueprint came about. The blueprint decides that, number one, there are two kinds of core systems, the backend system as well as the core business operation system. The core business operation systems are basically the plantation operation system, plantation management system. The backend system are basically the financial systems, the procurement systems, the sales, the inventory, and so on and so forth. And from this particular survey, we found that particular, the company that was actually using, the kind of application that they're using for the backend system comprises of softwares that's been not integrated. The second thing is that some of the software that's being used inside there are basically freeware that's been downloaded from the internet. So this actually brings up a lot of, there's a lot of risk that the consultant actually brought up and said that it is very dangerous to do that. The second thing is that using freeware down here does not guarantee you correct data and so on and so forth. So what happened is that the new initiative that was being embarked by the board of directors, which is basically the third generation staff and the second generation, is that they would replace the backend system with a totally new system. They have also replaced, or rather added, new blood in the new ICT team because of new technologies, new experiences are needed, new knowledge is needed. And it is also coinciding together with that, whereby this new ICT team, that the current ICT team is close to retirement. So they felt that it is a good way to do a handshake and a handover in terms of new technology to the new team. All right. And along there, there is an upskill and upgrade of their core competence in IT core competence, as well as to review and upgrade their policies and procedures. Right? So this is one of them. Second one is basically, right? Okay, hang on a sec. All right. Take a look at this particular organization down here. The same thing, they have actually, they have done is that they have actually did the same thing. They took a look at their current system and they say that I think our own internal IT guys may not have the kind of exposure as compared to the external people. So why don't we actually look into external people to actually help us and see what we can actually come up with it. So they have really engaged external consultants again to give them a very unbiased view. This particular organization, they are in a university, they are in the education establishment, and is being run by the second generation. So the second generation comprises of two brothers, sister-in-law, and also nephews and nieces. And what happened is that the CEO have actually engaged consultants outside there to do undertake an IT assessment. And the IT assessment down here does not give them enough for them to embark on a technology blueprint. All right. So what they say that, look, I think we have stopped with the IT assessment. I like to redevelop the whole thing again and add it into the strategy blueprint. So the consultants continue with the assessment and it came out with the strategy blueprint. The blueprint recommends that new initiative that needs to be done, right? They will actually use and embark on a new campus management system, a new student management system, together with facilities management, as well as accommodation management, and so on and so forth. All right. They maintain their legacy system, which is basically the backend system. These are the financials, the procurements, and so on and so forth. So along there, they also told the consultant to say that, look, I think while we have this new campus management as well as student management system, we like to we like the services in terms of being our right-hand IT partner, okay, to at least help us in the transitioning stage from the current way of how they do things right up to once they have implemented the both campus as well as student management systems. So that is the initiative that they have already took. So again, they have actually upskill and upgrade their core competence as well as policies and procedures. Right. Third one is the water engineering company. So this particular conglomerate down here not only looks into the water engineering, they have also other businesses such as construction, road construction, and they also have solid waste management business. So what happens down here is that their IT, the current IT department that they have is basically comprises of one person. And this particular person is very much a hardware-centric person, where he is very, very skillful in terms of recommending and ensuring that the right hardware is being used. But most of their applications are basically very, very low-level financial software. And then everything else is basically Excel spreadsheet. Everything is all done in Excel spreadsheet. So what happened is that the entrepreneur who unfortunately had to pass on the helm managing of the system to the son due to the fact that the entrepreneur had health issues. So what happened is that this particular son who took over, he was only in his early 30s when he was given the role of running the businesses. And what he did was that he got help from all his dad's lieutenants. He also has help from his brothers and sisters as well as brother-in-laws. So they were actually running the businesses across different industries. So what they did is that they say that we are not IT people, and we have so much business that we need to do. So what happens down here is that they engage external people. They did an IT strategy blueprint. It was approved. And they also did an operations assessment across all of them. All right. So the IT blueprint says that I think you need to have an ERP system, because what you have down here is you have actually, your business have actually outgrown whatever applications that you have. So they went for a system selection and they selected a high-level ERP system. They have also changed the entire core. They have also changed the entire core business operations across the way that they are business-centric types of applications that they both develop together with the consultants as well as the outsourced IT developing company. They replace the legacy system, which is basically the spreadsheets. All right, they never maintain anything. And the thing down here is that they also upskill and also upgrade their core competence as and SOPs. The thing is, after this, once this was actually done, almost completed, what happened down here is that they have gone beyond the shores of Malaysia and they have actually have businesses across in China, in Indonesia, as well as in the Philippines. All right. The youngest sibling, who happens to just graduate from the university, was tasked to take care of the IT portion. So the strategy blueprint was his baby, and he together with the backing of his brothers and sisters and all the other siblings had the blessings of them, and it actually went great. It was a very clever move to move from there because he knows that the youngest sibling down here may not have the kind of exposure in business, but the best way to actually get him to know the business more and also to pick on fresh brains is to put him into this particular initiative from the strategy blueprint right up to the implementation and the execution of various different softwares and so on and so forth and technologies. Right? Okay, this bereavement company happens to be the largest bereavement company in the world. And this is a Malaysian company. All right. It's currently being run by the second generation. They have, all the while, they have their own internal IT team comprising about 15 to 20 people who have, I would say, a medium-sized ERP software. And then after that, they started building their own software to help the bereavement agencies to talk to their customers and so on and so forth. So what they have actually done is that they have also included specialists coming from Hong Kong as well as from other countries. And together with the external consultants, they came out with a blueprint. So the blueprint suggests that the business is so huge. And what happens down here is that they actually went on a shopping spree to look for a new ERP system to replace the one that they have. So they have done that. They have also a new ICT team whereby they have interviewed and got themselves in a new CIO. But at the same time, the current team is still there, right? So another new, so they have a new backend system, which is a new ERP system. They have actually maintained their core business operation system, which is basically the agents, the agents system, where this particular system is used on their mobile phones to discuss and to talk with the customers, potential customers, in kind of packages that they have. All right. Of course, they replace the legacy system, the old ERP system. And at the same time, they have actually upskilled their competence and policies and procedures. So if you take a look at it, technology development and the adoption of technology is not just about hardware, software, it's also to review your policies as well as your procedures. All right. So this is very interesting because the blueprint continues to be redeveloped and so continue to be okay, thank you. Right. Next one is a bedding accessories manufacturing company. This is based in Ipoh. This is also being run by the second and third generation. they have actually done it slightly differently. So what they have done is that they did not engage anyone outside. They felt that they are able to actually, they don't have an IT department, but they have a business operations executive who happens to be maintaining the systems as well, and also a part-time IT guy who comes in once a month to take a look and see how the systems are running. So what happens down here is that they went ahead and they bought a new ERP system. And after a while, they took a step back and says that we're not sure whether this particular system is able to actually be there to help us in our future businesses. So they took a step back and said, hold on, while we have our own ideas about what we plan to do in terms of technology adoption, why don't we get outsiders, right, to help us and give them their view about what they need to do. So they got the consultants in, the external consultants. The consultants went through an operations assessment. And this particular assessment says that, well, your businesses are running so fast to the point where we find that there are bottlenecks. The bottlenecks is not in your manufacturing facilities. The bottlenecks are basically in your warehouse. And the warehouse down here is being run by one of the family members. And she has been there all her life. And her knowledge of how other people manages their warehouses is really very little. It's very minimal. So what happens is that in the new initiative, the consultants tell them that, look, you need to look for a warehouse management system. So they went for a system selection initiative. At the same time, the consultant tells them to say that, well, you already have a backend ERP system, which is less than 6 months old. Continue to use that, continue to exploit that, because your implementation of this particular ERP system is not even completed yet, right? So what happens is that they have actually gone ahead to source for a new for a warehouse management system. They've also introduced a new barcoding system for all their products, and the consultants even help them to interview and to bring in new ICT managers. Managers as well as executive. So with new blood in, new warehouse management system, new integration between the WMS and also the ERP system, there is a need for them to upskill and upgrade their core competence. So this is done in a slightly different way compared to the other case studies. And from all these case studies down here, what is it that they have been doing? Why is it that they've been doing in this particular manner? The analysis down here from all this across board members as well as staff communities is that, number one, technology has to be in line with their business transformation journey. All right, so technology, in other words, is part and parcel of a business transformation journey. There is no way you can actually separate or segregate technology away from your business. It is part and parcel of business. In fact, in a lot of organizations, without technology, the entire business will fail, right? For example, if you take a look at what happens when a Food Panda app goes down, what happens if it's a Grab Taxi app goes down, right? People will go hungry, people will not be able to travel from one place to another at ease. Second thing, with data, with new information, it actually intensifies the trust amongst family members. And that is the best thing. And this is one of the most clever things that the second generation or even the third generation have actually done. How do I get the trust of my uncles and my aunties, or even for my siblings? The word is correct information with correct data via technology. All right. Third thing, increase competitive advantage and even expansion towards market. Digital marketing has been around for the past 8 to 10 years, right? It's just that it was never popular until the past 2 years when we have this particular pandemic and everybody is working from home. Advertisements keep popping up in your social media sites, right? Word of mouth is no longer a primary way of how you actually get in new customers. And from there, it actually increases your competitive advantage. So sometimes when you take a look at it, people get tired when there's so many advertisements in your Facebook, all right, your Facebook board, where some of your friends will be talking about this and that and so on. And in fact, it actually brought out a lot of small little businesses from housewives who have actually lost their job, and they have gone on to actually do small things like selling homemade cakes, biscuits, and so on. The thing about Malaysians down here is that we are suckers for the word homemade, right? And this is one of the more clever ways where people use the word homemade cakes, homemade food, and so on and so forth. So you increase your business from there via little simple things like adopting social medias. And isn't that technology? It certainly is, right? Then the fourth thing down here is that there's an attractive industry infrastructure. What it does down here is that this is very much on the reputation of the organization or the SMEs. When you go out there, you say that, look, I've been using this ERP software to be able to actually connect with my customers. My salespeople actually goes out there with a mobile phone to actually take in orders. How fantastic can that be compared to a particular salesperson who goes out there with a piece of paper to say that, what do you want? You write it down, all right, and so on and so forth. There's no right, no wrong down here, but the fact is that the perception of the external people, the perception of your customers and suppliers plays a major part in pushing your organization to a new level altogether. All right, whether it's going to be a faster way or it's going to be a slower way is basically up to the entrepreneurs or the second generation to look at it. Third thing, you find that the final thing down here is that they are prudent in terms of IT spending. IT spending is expensive. We all know that, right? But the fact down here is that they have actually taken a step back to say that, hey, look, we are not experts in terms of using technology for our businesses. We know our businesses well. We know the guys who knows all the hardware and software well. But what happens in between? How do we gel these two different business communities into one, in these communities into one single one where we're able to excel? So what they have actually done down here is that, look, we will get someone outside to tell us what are the areas that we need, what are the areas that we are broken down, what are the areas that we need to improve, and we will share with them our 5 years business plan. And from there, we take it to say, how can technology assist us and push us ahead of our competitors in this particular manner? So that is the reason why a lot of them have engaged external consultants to actually review their businesses, review their current state of their technology, and provide the necessary recommendations. All right. So from there, they say that, look, in fact, if I would take you back to one of the case studies that I've shown you to you all, which is basically the plantation. What they have actually done, at the hindsight of the consultant, is that they went ahead and bought a HR software, right? The supplier or the vendor, the HR vendor, felt that they are able to actually do the job, put in the HR software, do the implementation, training, voila, they have actually gone live. Then what happens down here is that the vendor did not realize or did not ask a question or wasn't aware that when it comes to a plantation conglomerate, it is not just 1,000 people. It's a 5-figure in terms of the number of headcounts that they have. And about 3 months into the implementation, the vendor told the company that they would like to drop off from the implementation because they knew very well that they are able to actually support so many headcounts. And the fact down here that there are different ways of how do you actually calculate simple things such as salary, right? There are people who is on salary basis. There are some who's being paid on a check roll basis. ERP, again, back to ERP, all right? It is an integrated management software, which is meant to actually execute or to help you in your main business processes. And it's actually been mediated by the ERP software and also the technology that comes with it. You can able to actually expand a lot more from there. All right. And the one that, of course, S1 is having is the Sage X3, is one of the more premium ERP systems that's being used globally. It's a very, very mature system with a lot of experiences and also a lot of procedures and processes that's been added inside there. So I would like you all to take advantage of this if you happen to be interested. Now, I want to bring you all slightly deeper into ERP. This is an overall basis about what ERP is all about. You have the standard sales module, billings, AR, AP, GL, entry, leasing, as well as costing. So down here in ERP, it's not so much about all this, because a lot of technology people will say that, well, we have the sales and inventory and so on. But it is more so to help businesses, especially businesses who are running in semi-manual mode, into the information and the data, the interrelationship between the data that is traveling between all these modules. This is where the clever part of this is when it comes to ERP, right? So you have the inventory checking, receiving quantity, order quantity, all the way to your invoice payments. And these are the ones where experienced ERP people will be able to actually tell you about what the whole thing is all about. So I want you to take a look at this. And I did not even expand it to the manufacturing modules. This is the information that is needed for any ERP. Of course, Sage X3 has all this information down here. And I would really, really encourage you to talk about this. Now, the question is that if I were to invest in an ERP, should I buy a server? Should I buy myself a server and then hosted it, and then the organizations at S1 will come and do the implementation? There are many ways to do it, and another way of how we actually do it is basically to host it on the cloud. For the first generation, talking about cloud, they probably look into the sky and say, you know, there might be something wrong with what my son is saying, things about the cloud. But having said that, I think it's very important that in a lot of SMEs, going on a low cost or affordable cost in investing in a software, a management software like this itself, is something that is actually a foundation or a starting setup in your journey towards technology adoption, right? Next thing, just now we actually spoke about the assessment, the IT assessment, as well as the business, the strategy development. What's the difference between these two? An assessment actually does an evaluation of your current state. Strategy development, on the other side, takes into your current state of what you have, the people, process, technology, risks, governance, compliances, as well as reputation. And it also takes into where your goals are. What does the company want to achieve? Where is it that they're going? And how can the strategy report assist you on that? And the development of the strategy report is not just coming in with patches of a kind of routers that you need, hardware, software. It's not that, right? The strategy report does not go into consideration into all these areas, but it takes into consideration how technology is able to actually assist you in your current business. Your core business is basically says that you have different ways of how you actually bring in sales. You have the salespeople going out, but these people are currently being equipped with paper. So one of the other areas is basically number 1, 2, equip with them with, let's say, a simple thing as a handphone, where the handphone basically has its application to take in the orders, and these orders are automatically transmitted back into your ERP system. It's simple. It's been done by a lot of organizations. It's been also done by the government as well as government agencies, such as the Tenaga Nasional people, the water utilities people, all right, and so on and so forth. So where can we go from there? Other than just an ERP system, mobility is one of the areas that has been gaining strength, and people want something that is actually at the palm of your hand, right? To take in all the information and also to access information in order to sustain the customer development as well as to get more customers. I just saw a little documentary whereby your credit cards are slowly being replaced by a ring. You know, the ring that you have, your wedding ring, your costume rings, and so on. And the thing down here is the ring actually comes with a chip. The chip is basically in from your credit cards. What he has done is to do away with the cards, which is so cumbersome and actually thickens up your wallet together with this ring. And when you purchase something over the counter, all you have to do is just put the ring onto the scanner and payment is already being made. How fantastic that. Things are getting smaller, they're getting better, and it's easier to carry it around. Right? So to end this, digital capabilities is, once upon a time, is a nice to have. 3 years ago, when you ask a lot of organizations, they say that it is a very nice to have type of thing to help us in our business, but thanks, but no thanks. But today, like what Ms. Lydia has actually mentioned, is that it is a must-have, right? It is a must-have that you have the hawkers, the food suppliers, and all those have actually done their part in terms of adopting technology. Whether they have, I like it, but it's very much more on adopting. And I have to say that Malaysians have done a fantastic job in terms of doing businesses from their home, in terms of cost saving and adopting technology. So to start it off for SMEs, perhaps a digital health check in terms of an assessment or even a strategy report will help you to give you an idea about what will be your next steps. Or one of the other areas is that you can actually go ahead and maybe you can just talk to us about how 𝐶𝐍𝐄𝐄 ERP together with Huawei Cloud, which gives you the concentration one of the key areas after implementing any solutions for that matter in cybersecurity, right? Huawei comes with cybersecurity. And the fact down here is that because all your data are hosted somewhere in the cloud, all right, where cybersecurity is part and parcel of the area where it protects all confidential information in terms of your business transactions, right? So this is a key takeaway about what we need to do, all right? The next generation, and I'm absolutely confident that the next generation is in a very, very unique position. All right, this is an exposition in terms of AI. This is explosion in terms of technology, in terms of blockchain, and to lead the family business digital transformation initiative. This is something which is very unique, especially in the 21st century, especially now. 88% from survey says that the Malaysian next gen you're already in the family business, and you are already in a very, very good position to actually steer ahead your family business digital direction. And using this to integrate with whatever strategies you have, integrate it together with your long-term visions as well as your family values. Third thing, the second generation down here, and you already have it, are your mindset in terms of technology. And one of the things that you probably have to do is to revisit what are the business areas that is ever changing, right? You may not need to actually digitize everything that you have, but you take it on a step-by-step basis, right? And look into areas such as your core business for a start, the supply chain for another one, and then slowly moving towards digital marketing and go on, so on and so forth, right? And all this is basically available if you were to come up with a strategy blueprint, because it actually tells you what are the steps that you need to take, right? Together with a discussion with the family members. So digital next steps is basically dependent on your need, your current and your future business journey needs, right? Again, start it off with a health check or look for an ERP solution. So I end this with one of the areas down here. Go back to the survey. 81% of the business worldwide are all family-related business. 81% are already on their baby steps towards technology adoption one way or another. It's just how far you want to go and what are the pace that you like to take in terms of adopting technology. An important thing down here is that you need not necessarily know how technology works, leave it over to people like us. Know your business well, know where your business wants to take you to, right? And we will be able to actually assist you from the technology adoption path. So for this, thank you very much. I'm ending this this particular webinar with some instructions when it comes to technology. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie, for the information presentation. Despite with the disruption of the internet, never mind. Things happen. Things happen sometimes.
Yep. So we are open for questions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So any question from the floor to our speakers? Let's see inside the chat box. Okay, from my side, I don't see any question. Okay, no question. Do you have any question direct to you, Mr. Eddie?
None at all, but I think maybe I want to share something that perhaps a lot of the participants here will be wondering. Why is it that the people like Eddie know so much about these case studies in terms of family businesses? And the reason why I did not explore it is because it's really not that important, but nevertheless, I owe it to you all to tell you all how I came to this. It's because all these case studies was undertaken by me across the years. And all these family businesses are there. They are huge, they are small ones, and they are actually huge. And I can tell you, exceptionally well was the embracement of first generation in terms of understanding how technology is able to help them in their business. So it will not do justice to the board members, the first generation, to tell them about the hardware and the software, Android versus Apple and so on and so forth. It's not that. It's about how we can actually use a mobile phone, a simple word such as mobile phone or a tablet, to actually take in orders. To use a mobile phone or a tablet as a marketing device. To use this as something you can actually expand your presence across, not just in Malaysia, but also across the whole to the places where they have actually done businesses. And from there, I am convinced that I've actually informed well to all the first generations about the power of technology. And frankly speaking, the best thing that I've actually seen down here is they have actually adopted the strategy report, and they were well on their way in terms of implementing the technology in the organization. Because what I've actually done is to revisit all my previous clients, and it gives me a good feeling to say that, well, technology paper is not about the hardwares and the softwares, but something which is practical, implementable, cost-effective, right? So that's what I like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie. Okay, if you have no question, wait, there's one chat message. All right. Okay, if from floor you have no question, I would like to ask question. Okay, let me share my experience.
Okay.
Okay. Yesterday, I went for the 𝐷𝒂𝐄𝐷𝒂𝒄 Industry Sabah. I went to this one company producing all the pastry, dessert, and cakes.
Okay.
Okay. There's one question from the management of the company. The question is, which one should we do first? We appoint a capable or competent IT guy, or we need to have a ERP or good HR or enterprise resource planning system first. Actually, it's a chicken and egg issue lah. So I would like Mr. Eddie to answer the question.
So the first thing is that the first thing in the mind of the person who asked the question is whether or not they need to engage or bring in a person, or they go ahead and buy a system. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
So the thing down here is that who is qualified enough to know whether or not that new IT person is able to actually undertake some of the wishes of the management. You can't. So the thing down here is that this is related to the bidding accessories case study which I've shown you all. What they have actually done is get external people like us to go in there and help them to review the system first and to tell them, say that, look, you may want to KIV in terms of buying a system first because you already have this running. Let it run for the next 1 or 2 years because it's still new. At the same time, we will actually help you in terms of getting the right, proper candidate to assist you in your technology journey. Isn't that better? It actually gives you the person that the person actually go back and have well sleep over about what to do next. Leave the issues over to the consultants, like people like us. Right? We will actually be able to actually assist them in this particular manner. Do not, however, splash money that you have into buying something that you are not sure whether it will work or not for your organization. Because when it comes to making of pastries and cakes, it's totally different from making cars, parts. All right. So it's two totally different way of how you actually do things. And the best way to actually understand it is from someone outside to know your processes and be able to give you a very, very right recommendation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harry.
Welcome.
Any more questions? Didn't see any question. So I guess we can conclude, we can end our session because there's no question.
Mr. Fadli, can
Yeah.
we take a picture for
Yeah.
everybody before we close the session off?
All right.
If we can get everybody put on the camera. We will send the pictures to our participant.
Okay. A lot of people are camera shy.
Oh, there's message you're not able to start camera host.
More
Need
people
to
are
allow.
coming. I think most of them are coming up now.
Who else want to join for the photo session? Okay. There's more and more joining the session. Can't start the video. I guess the secretariat of the host need to allow the participant to on their camera.
Can we allow them, everybody, to on the camera?
Yeah. Oh, I saw someone driving. Miss
Driving. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. But be
joining us
careful
from
on the road.
Melbourne. It's a supporter from Australia.
Greeting from Melbourne.
Thank you, Miss Wendy. Okay, so can we take a photograph now? I mean, they are still camera shy.
Oh, I guess the host need to enable one by one, is it?
Is it? I'm not sure. Host has not enabled.
Ah,
Host has not enabled. Can host enable?
Hi, Rani. I can see you.
Okay.
All right.
We are waiting for more.
I think we can go ahead. I mean,
Go ahead now.
it's taking too much time on the
Yeah.
people.
All right.
yeah.
Take two picture lah. First page and second page.
Yeah,
2 page. We need 2 page only.
yeah.
We'll send it to our social media so all can see. So, thank you.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, smile. One more. 1, 2, smile. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your participation for our webinar today. Hope it will be fruitful and very insightful for you to adopt into technology. Okay. So on behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to thank for your participation today. Thanks also to our speaker, Ms. Lidabe, Mr. Eddie Low, for the presentation just now. Okay. Thank you. Until we meet the next program lah. So as you can see on the screen, you have any feedback, you can scan the barcode or the QR code on the screen lah to send your feedback, okay? Or send an email to enquiries at s1asiapac.com. Okay? All right. Anything else to be promoted?
That'll be all.
Give them a few more minutes for them to scan their form.
I believe the part of AsiaPac can accept any kind of feedback lah. Is it good, bad, or any improvement for them to improve in the future lah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.